Okay, hi everybody. I wanted to make this video really quickly while I had a few minutes and while baby is sleeping to do my labor and delivery story. I've done this video probably 100 times, but I am just never happy with the way it turns out. Hopefully it will be good this time because I'm really over filming this video 100 times. But sorry I am like not wearing any makeup. I look hideous, but the lighting is really good right now, and I figured I'm not even at my own house. But I figured it would be a good time to make this video. So we will start with, I was 39 weeks. This is the night before. I was 39 weeks and 0 days. I was playing with the idea of taking castor oil because it would have just been a really great time for baby to come. I wasn't like at the point where I was like, get this baby out of me or anything like that. I was just, it just would have been really convenient. Her daddy, my husband, he would have had the max amount of days off with her if she would have came soon. Otherwise, if she would have came like any, like 4 or 5 days later, anytime after that, he would have only gotten like 4 days off, 4 or 5 days off. So it was just a really convenient time for her to come for everybody. We had family coming in that were gonna wait and stay with us until baby came, and so we were just kind of like, oh, it would be great if she came now. So let me fix the camera. So I was like, maybe I will, maybe I won't. We had already been kind of like going on a lot of walks, and I was bouncing on my labor ball a lot, doing other things to try and get labor started, but nothing was really working so far. So I called my sister and that morning, and I was like, I think I'm kind of thinking about taking castor oil. She's like, yeah, I took it, but I guess she took it and went to the labor like the next day or within 24 hours or something like that. And but she also had a membrane sweep done that day, so she can't be sure if it was from the membrane sweep that she went into labor or if it was from the castor oil or what it was. So she's like, yeah, I'm coming over about 5:30 and I'll bring it to you just in case, to see if you want to take it. So she came over at 5:30, brought it, and I was like, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to take it. I talked to my husband on the phone, and I was like, yeah, should I take it? He's like, well, why haven't you taken it already? Like, it would be awesome for her to come. So just take it, and let's get labor started. And, like, he just had the idea in his head that if I took it, I would have her. He wasn't completely sure about, like, what it was or anything like that. So about 6:30, I decided I finally got my courage up enough to take it. So I took a tablespoon and a half, put it in a shot glass, and downed it. It was really gross. I gagged, and it was disgusting, but I still swallowed it, and I still got it down, and I was fine. And I felt a little, like, sick afterwards, like just this nervous, anxiety kind of sick feeling, but that quickly went away, and I was fine. Like, I really wasn't like nervous about taking it or anything like that. I just had this weird, like, bad feeling about it, but I took it anyways. And yeah, so later on that night, I didn't really feel like eating any dinner. I wasn't very hungry. I went to bed super early. I was just exhausted, and I was kind of thinking in the back of my head, like, maybe this is my body's way of, preparing me for labor, getting me to sleep, because I did want to do this all natural, just to, like, get some rest and be ready to labor the next day if it was going to happen. So I went to bed like probably 8:30 and woke up around 3:30 in the morning having to use the bathroom really bad. And I know that diarrhea is a side effect of taking castor oil, so I figured that's what that was. So I got up, used the bathroom, and immediately after I used the bathroom is when my contractions started. And they didn't start like 5 minutes apart, 10 minutes apart, 3 minutes apart. They were immediately 2 minutes apart and 1 minute long. They hurt, but they weren't like so crazy intense, like that I couldn't deal with them yet. So I was like kind of, waiting around, walking around the house. It was really early in the morning, so I didn't want to wake my husband up, because if this was false labor, I didn't want to wake him up and then, I'm trying to adjust baby. She's sleeping right here. Wake him up and then have it be fake and have him have to go to work at 5 o'clock in the morning. So, I waited. I called the midwife about an hour later at 4:30, and told her what was going on. She said she was pretty sure it was real labor, and just to kind of relax, walk around the house, get everything ready. So that's what I did, and she told me to call her back in an hour after having something light to eat, and call her back in an hour, but she really wanted my contractions to be a minute and a half long, so, and getting really stronger. So, I waited an hour, and I decided not to call her back because my contractions weren't they were only like a minute and 15 minutes apart was like the max time that I was able to time them, because after some point I stopped timing them because I just couldn't anymore. So I ate something really light. I kind of walked around the house. My husband's alarm clock rang at like 4:55, and he woke up probably like 5 minutes before that, and I was like, "What are you doing?" And I told him, I was like, "I think I'm in labor. Like, I called the midwife. She thinks it's real. So I don't think you're going into work today." So he called off work and started to help me get things ready. He cooked breakfast, and I had like one pancake and like one slice of apple. I wasn't very hungry, but I was trying to drink water, but I'm just not a really good water drinker. It made me nauseous when I was pregnant to drink just plain water, so I usually drink like some Kool-Aid that I would water down like a lot, so it was just like barely flavored with a little bit of Kool-Aid. My mind is just completely blank right now. So they started to get a lot more intense, and I was really having to breathe through them. So I decided to call the midwife again. I think it was about 8:30, and it had already been like through shift change. So there was a new midwife, and I talked to her, and she was actually the midwife that I had a bad experience with around 24 weeks. And I did not want her to be my labor doula or labor midwife when I went to labor. So, but of course, that's the way things planned out, and she was the midwife, and, yeah. So I talked to her, and she's like, "Yeah, if you really want to do this naturally, I really want you to stay home as long as possible," which was my plan. I really wanted to stay home as long as I could. She's like, "Get a bath running, take a shower, do whatever you can to kind of labor at home as long as possible, and give me a call back when you're ready to come in." So I had my husband clean the bath out for me and start a warm bath going, so he did that. By this point, I was laying in bed, and by the time the bath was clean and ready to go for me to get in, I was like, "I can't do this. Like, these contractions are way too strong. I'm not getting a break anymore." Like, I stopped getting breaks in between my contractions. They were just like all of a sudden like constant and extremely painful. This was like immediately after I hung up with the midwife. They were just like, I wasn't getting any more breaks anymore for some reason. Like, they were just really constant and really painful. So we got everything together, got in the car, and I called the midwife back and told her like I was in a lot of pain. So we headed to the hospital. And at that point I started to get a few more breaks, and like I was getting longer breaks in between, and I was like, this is weird. Like, is my labor stopping? Like, was this it? Like, is this fake now? But it wasn't, because my contractions continued. So I'm going to pause the video right there, and then I will restart it again. So I will be right back for part 2.